Okay, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. Let that land. Just let it land. Right? And the part of us that believes that there's something wrong, that isn't even our voice. That's not even us. It was implanted in us. There was a time when I believed that I was fundamentally flawed, that no matter how much healing I did, I would never get there. And that's not the truth. Healing isn't about fixing ourselves. It's about remembering that we were already whole to begin with. Now, how does that happen? We're going to talk about that in this talk, because we're not meant to be anybody else but who we are, exactly as we are. And this softness is the remembrance that we're already whole. But how do we really embody that? That's what I want to talk to you about today. I'm really grateful. Thank you for joining Walking the Path. Welcome. And of course, this talk is done under the auspices of Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, a place where you get to come and remember that you're not broken, a place where you get to see your wholeness when you merge with your soul. So that's a little bit about Rythmia. But this is the first in a series of talks on the sovereign self. I'm really excited about this series, the sovereign self. And this is talk one, which is really about, I'm not broken. This piece, it's something I've been working with for a long time. And the core message is, we're not broken. Okay, talk's over. We're not broken. We're wholeness in motion. I love that. Well, I'm not broken. I'm whole in motion. I'm whole in motion. Growth isn't about fixing. It's about remembering, reclaiming, reconnecting. So there's no destination. Wholeness isn't a destination. It's actually the essence of who we are underneath the story. And the belief in brokenness is inherited and reinforced by systems and culture and families and trauma. And what I noticed in myself is that there's internalized microaggressions, self-criticism, comparison, striving are all signs that I'm trying to measure myself against some imaginary ideal. And true healing for me began when I was no longer seeking to fix myself, but rather to meet myself with compassion and with truth. So there's this illusion of brokenness. It shows up, like I don't walk around saying I'm broken, but it shows up when I really look at it. It shows up as comparison. It shows up as feeling not enough. It shows up as little microaggressions. For example, let's see. I had so many examples and now I'm drawing a blank. Hold on. Yeah. So there's this idea that what a spiritual teacher is supposed to be. What a spiritual practitioner is supposed to be, what I should be doing. And these internalized ideas, every time I don't meet the mark or don't do what I think that a spiritual teacher is supposed to be doing, then this is, and how do I know what that is? Well, I compare myself to, Reverend Michael or Deepak Chopra or, Michael Singer or anybody. Who else is out there? Well, will they do that? What would Michael Singer do? What would Reverend Michael do? That little microaggression, it's unconscious, right? But there's just this thought like, well, they wouldn't be doing that right now. Well, they're not me. What if I could meet myself with compassion? This story that there's something wrong with me. It shows up. It shows up in so many ways. Oh, maybe it's my ADHD. Why can't I? Why am I not distributing my schedule? Right? There's this idea that I have that an organized person, has the list of things they want to do every week. And then they have their schedule and Google Calendar. And then I go, all right, well, I'm teaching this class. I have this talk and plug that in. And then, okay, I want to work on this project here and I'm going to do this here and just plug it in all week long. I love it when I can do that. I love it when I have that presence of mind to do that, because that's what an organized person is supposed to do. But I rarely get to that level of perfection in my schedule. And so then I wonder, like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do that? This is a microaggression. This is I'm broken. Fundamentally underneath that, why can't I do that? I'm broken. And, let's introduce this idea of wholeness in motion. That wholeness doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean the perfection of my scheduling, which I really love, but it means integration. It means self-compassion and truth. So wholeness isn't a future reward. It's a present reality, one that's just often covered up by the stories that I've inherited, my comparisons. And growth doesn't make me more whole. I was whole to begin with. I definitely want to grow. I definitely want to improve, but I'm coming from it like I'm broken and I've got to improve. I've got to become whole. If I come at it from I'm already whole and here's what I want, there's a whole different energy around that. This remembering that growth doesn't make me whole. I'm already whole and I want to embrace more organization in my schedule. It's a whole different energy. So we want to reframe the idea of healing. Often I approach self growth, spiritual growth, as self-improvement. And that's fundamentally trying to fix myself. But what the sages and wisdom, ancient wisdom, is telling us is that there's nothing to repair. It's not about healing, isn't about repairing, it's about revelation. What's the difference? Healing as a repair is like I'm broken and I've got to fix this. And when I fix it, I'll be okay. If I can fix this, then I'll be okay. Healing as revelation is I'm already whole, and now more of that wholeness is being revealed. The truth is I've always been intact. I've always been whole. Right now, I'm just peeling away the layers that obscure it. This is uncovering my wholeness. Now, I'm not becoming whole. I'm already whole. I'm uncovering the stuff that obscures it. Michelangelo said of the statue David, Michelangelo said this. I was just looking at this. Hi, I miss you too. Thank you. Michelangelo said of the statue David, I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. That's how wholeness works, right? The divine is already inside you. You're already divine. I'm already divine. We're already building on it. I'm sorry, we're not building on it. We're revealing it. That's the revelation. We're not sculpting ourselves into worthiness. We're clearing away all the stuff that makes us think we're not worthy. The worthiness is there. The wholeness is there. So feel into this. Can you sense a part of your self that's unchanged by circumstance? The part that isn't damaged, harmed, diminished, disqualified, no matter what you've been through? Can you sense a part of you that is already whole? The wholeness of who you are, independent of circumstance and condition, that you are already divine. And that anything that obscures that just needs to be carved away. This is wholeness. That's what wholeness looks like in motion. Whole. I'm not broken. I'm whole in motion. I love that. So, the ocean is still the ocean, whether it's calm or crashing. It's still the ocean. So you're still whole, whether you're struggling or thriving. You're still whole. Wholeness includes grief. Wholeness includes confusion. Wholeness includes shadows. They're not blemishes. They're part of this living dance, this part of this laying down the arms against ourselves and remembering our essence is always already God, always already whole. Wholeness is not a destination. It's the essence of who we are. And I'm not broken. I'm unfolding. And what's unfolding is the holiness that's already in me. So I want to call out this idea of the ideal. I have this ideal body, ideal spiritual teacher, ideal employee, ideal leader, ideal business owner, this invisible ideal self. Let's just call it the fucking inner critic. It's the inner critic's weapon, actually. The ideal self is a weapon against ourselves. You know, what is that weapon? It's the one who's more productive, sexier, skinnier, peaceful, more successful, more spiritual, wealthier, calmer, healed, whatever. That's the ideal self. And I measure myself against that daily, consciously or unconsciously. I'm measuring myself against this ideal self. It's like living in a house with a ghost that's constantly whispering, "You're not enough. You're not enough. No, look at that over there. That's the ideal. That's what it's supposed to look like." And that's where my suffering comes from. I suffer most not because of who I am, but because of who I think I should be. Who I think I should be. And it's not even in those words. It's just this. It's just this internalized idea of the skinnier, smarter, more successful, more productive, more peaceful, more calm, more less reactive, more responsive. All of that stuff. I definitely want to improve, but remember, spiritual growth is revelation. It's not fixing. I'm whole to begin with, and I'm unfolding. My wholeness is in motion, and now I'm revealing more and more of my wholeness by carving away all the stuff that's not me. So let's name the source of the lie. The ideal did not originate from your soul. The ideal originated from systems. Nothing emerges. Nothing emerges in isolation. Everything emerges from a system. This is family systems theory, right? So we emerge from this system, generational wounds, the media, culture, our parents, patriarchy, capitalism, religion, trauma, all of the stuff, all of the systems. So it's not your voice. It's not my voice. It's sitting in my mind, shaping myself because I've freely internalized these ideas. So ask yourself, whose voice are you hearing when you're falling short? Is it really the voice of my soul? Is that what love would say to me? You're falling short. You're not this. You're not that. Is that what love would say? Is that what the kind, loving guide? Is that what your favorite grandparent or best friend would say? No, that's not your voice. That's not the voice of love. That's not the voice of your soul. That's the voice of an internalized system that's not us. So let's just call it a lie. The ideal self is a weapon that we use against ourselves, and it's not even our own voice, but we freely accepted it. So we get to lovingly dismantle it. Clearly, but lovingly. The ideal is a fantasy. There's no ideal. There's no norm. There's no norm. Even if, let's say, you're looking at people without arms aren't normal. People with arms are normal, given the fact that most people have arms. Okay. So there's normal and not normal. But of the normal people with arms, there's just as many differences between and among people with arms as there are between people with arms and without arms. So that normal doesn't even exist. That ideal doesn't even exist. It's not real. It's a fantasy. It's a projection. It's a prison made out of praise and punishment. No one lives there. Even those who seem to don't live there because they're still not enough. So it's not wrong to want growth. We want to improve, but chasing my worth through performing and proving myself, that's prison. The ideal is not the North Star. That's not my guiding star, some ideal. That's the prison. That's the cage. So we're going to shift to a spiritual truth that my worth isn't tied to how close I come to some perfect image. My worth isn't tied to my performance. I didn't come here to perform. I came here to express. We're not here to look like or live like anyone else. We're not here to do anything other than express ourselves. We are an unrepeatable expression, incomparable, unrepeatable expression of the infinite. In fact, I think a famous Kabbalist said, we're the infinity of the infinite. We're the infinity of the infinite. So I want to just invite you to take a moment, close your eyes if you can, and ask yourself, where in my life am I measuring myself against some ideal, some other version of success and beauty and healing? Where did that story come from? Ask yourself, where did that story come from? And is it true? What if nothing's wrong? What if there's nothing wrong with us? What if there's nothing wrong? What if? It's part of the journey. What if the part of me that's suffering or that's sad or lonely doesn't need to be silenced, but it just needs to be loved? So in this way, healing isn't a quest to become worthy, but it's a process, a sacred process of remembering who we are, of remembering our wholeness, of remembering that I'm here to love what's true in me. Okay. So what I want to, so I want to offer a metaphor around this, right? Like, okay, if I'm perfect, whole, and complete already, and there's just this stuff that gets glommed onto me, then how is it that I don't need to fix that, right? Okay, so think of a pane of glass, a window pane. We are like that window pane. Our soul comes in, and we're that pane of glass, perfectly clear, crystal clear, and the light of God is just shining through us. And then we go through life, and the grit and the grime and the bugs and the mud and the muck get on there, and it starts to obscure the light. Like the light can't pass through. Okay, that's not us being broken. That's just stuff that got laid on top of us. The stuff we internalized, this ideal version that keeps us imprisoned, and aggressive against ourselves, comparing ourselves. That's not us. That got put on us, and we've let it live there. So the glass is still clear. It's just got stuff covered over it. And the grit builds up. The truth is the glass isn't broken. It's just covered up. The light, it's still behind you. It's still there. The glass gets smudged, but the light, you just can't see it. So the healing isn't about the glass becoming glass again. The healing is about wiping away the mud and letting your light shine in again. So you don't need to become worthy. You've always been worthy. We're just scraping away the stories of unworthiness. And the part of, we want to meet suffering with compassion. This is the other piece, right? The part of me that's still aching, right? It's like, great, okay, I'm cleaning away the glass. But then there's that part of me that's still aching, that still clings to the old story, that doesn't need to be banished or bypassed. That needs to be seen and heard and held. How do we do that? There's parts of you the parts of you that are hurt aren't in the way. They are the way. The parts of us that are hurt aren't in the way. They are the way. So when you notice the aches, the pains, the suffering, the shames, the spirals, just pause and put a Buddha on it. I want to talk to you about putting a Buddha. Okay. Buddha isn't some dude who lived 2,500 years ago and is smarter than any of us will ever be. Buddha means awareness. And in Buddhist temples, when there's a crack in the structure, when a statue cracks or chips, they don't throw it away. They place a tiny Buddha right on the crack. It's like an altar to imperfection. And there's also a Japanese process of when something's cracked, they mend it with gold, right? To acknowledge the beauty of the imperfection, to acknowledge that this too is holy. What if we could do that with ourselves? The part of us that's in pain, the part of us that feels sad, the part of us that feels lonely, the part of us that feels broken, the part of us that feels not enough, the part of us that feels like, I shouldn't feel this way. What if I just put a Buddha on it? There's my Buddha. There's shouldn't feel this way Buddha. There's not enough Buddha. I'm still holding on to this fucking story Buddha. What if I could just accept myself as I am? Put a Buddha on it and that this belongs. The more I try and banish it, the more I try and push it away, the stronger it gets. What we resist persists. But if I can accept it, if I can put a Buddha on the thing that I think is my flaw, I'm acknowledging that that too is holy. That too is perfect, just as it is. So this is compassion in motion. It's not bypassing. It's not wallowing. It's just blessing the scar with presence. This is okay. This is what is required. Radical gentleness. Radical gentleness. What if this week, instead of trying to be better, you just practiced being kinder to yourself? That's a great thing to do this week. Let's not try and improve. Let's just try and be kinder to ourselves. What if spiritual practice wasn't about striving, but about softening, being a little kinder? What are some examples of this? So instead of forcing yourself to just get over it, right? Makes sense this still hurts. I'm going to honor that. Instead of like powering through fatigue, another cup of coffee, Mambe, whatever it is. What if I ask, what does my body really need right now? What do I need? Is it a nap? Instead of judging myself for being off, what if I allowed myself to be human and that my worth doesn't fluctuate with my mood? Sometimes the most radical thing that we can do is change the tone of voice in our head to just, shift from the drill sergeant to the best friend, from the, critical judge to the loving grandparent. What would love say to you? What would that kind, gentle, wise guide within you say to you? Gentleness isn't passivity. It is allowing our nervous system to feel safe enough to change. I'm so glad Sister said, I needed to hear this. I needed to hear it too. Why do you think I wrote it? You know what I mean? I was going through this, right? So I want to end this with embodied sovereignty. What does it mean to be sovereign? It means that I can place my awareness where I want to think about it. It means that I am the king or queen of my domain. So this path isn't about reaching a pinnacle of perfection, but walking home to myself, accepting myself, being gentle. I'm not broken. I'm living. I'm breathing. I'm a dynamic, divine work of art, still unfolding, still worthy, still whole. Embodied sovereignty means this: I'm not waiting for validation to define my worth. I don't live according to false ideals. I remember that I'm the source. I'm the source. I'm one with God. I'm not ruled by fear. I'm governed by love. Sovereignty is choosing how I want to respond to old stories by taking up space without apology. This is a big one for me. It's okay for me to take up space without apology. Saying no without having to explain myself. Rooting into my values over public opinion. And practicing self-loyalty over abandonment. These are practices, ideas that help me anchor into sovereignty. Sovereignty doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to explain. It just knows. And when you embody that knowing, this is power. When you embody that knowing, even silence becomes a whole sermon. So this week, I'm not broken. I'm whole in motion. Practice radical gentleness. Remember, I'm the window pane and there's nothing wrong with me. Meet my suffering with compassion. I'm the glass window, scraping off the stuff. My wholeness doesn't, I'm not struggling to become whole. I'm already whole and I'm revealing more of that wholeness. So thank you. There's some beautiful, Suzanne says, I'm going to put a Buddha on my arthritis. This too is holy. Being with my pain, being with that suffering. allowing that I don't have to overcome that, Susanna. I don't have to overcome it, but to be with it, to experience it, to allow it, something will shift. Radical acceptance, radical gentleness. Thank you, sister. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. Looking forward to seeing you next week. The series continues. I love this series, the Sovereign Self series. We'll start next week with a new talk, and I'll see you then.